Hi, Peter Charles here, Folks for Life Fly Fishing. And today I'm going to have a little first impressions video of the G Loomis 2-weight IMX Pro Euro nymphing rod. It's 10 foot long, and I did an unboxing video on it earlier. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to really need to get this out. But, you know, typical spring, we have high water at times and I had to wait, in other words, before I could get out. And I found some interesting things with it. Now, I have the NRX 4-weight Euro nymphing rod, and it was a great comparison between the two and how I would want to use them. Now, something to keep in mind about my local waters, it's single fly only. It's single barbless hook, no organic bait. That's the actual regulation. So you can't use a point fly with a dropper, which is the typical way to fish a Euro nymphing rig. You can't do that. So you're limited to the one fly, and if you don't want to fly with a lot of weight, you get into a problem. So let's get into the video here and have a look at see how I did. So I'm walking down to the run. There's already a fellow in there fishing, but he's on the other side, and it's a big run, so it can handle two people, no problem. So I'm just casting out through here, and one thing I found right off the bat with the 2-weight, just 1 second, I'll stop that right there. One thing I found with the 2-weight is that it handled a single fly extremely well. I could get quite long cast with it without any problem whatsoever. Whereas the 4-weight needed a little bit more weight, and the 2-weight didn't. So that was a great advantage. I just lost a small one there, so we'll see what happens. I'll keep fishing, and you know, and that's the other thing. I'm at this point now. I'm going, what do I use for flies? Because I've started to move into the slower water, and I'm starting to hang up. Now you'll see that nice looking sucker in the picture. After this particular video, of course, the batteries are now dead. I went further upstream in the river, and there's one big, very slow pool, and I saw a flash in it. I thought, oh, big brown. No, it was that guy. But the point was, if I had used one of the heavily weighted flies over here on this side, these are all my heavy stuff, and I have some heavy stuff here too. If I'd used this heavy stuff, there's no way I'd been able to fish that pool because they would have been on the bottom immediately. These flies in here are much more lightly weighted, and I was able to cast to that guy and hook him and land him, even though it's a sucker. That doesn't matter. It's proving a point. Is that I could make an effective cast with the 2-weight with a very lightly weighted, high drag nymph that would sink slowly in that slow pool and give me time to line it up where that fish was lying. As I say, bit of a disappointment. Turned out to be a sucker, but you know what? That one was feisty. I've had some suckers where they came in like boots. This one put up a tussle. He wasn't going to come in easily. So it was worth it anyway. But the point of the matter is, the 2-weight allowed me to cast a single, very lightly weighted nymph, about 15, somewhere between 15 and 20 feet, because I couldn't get too close because, you know, it drops off. And I didn't want to go wading into a quiet pool because that spooks everything in it. So it showed the ability of the rod to be able to cast lightly weighted nymphs. So my local river is not all that high gradient. Yeah, I just have a few spots that are fast. But a lot of it is moderate flows to slow flows. And when you get into these slow pools, you're not going to be using this heavily weighted stuff that I have over here. It's just going to be right on the bottom. And what was happening here in this particular run as I moved, you know, to fish more on the inside of the seam, the water slows down, and all of a sudden I was getting snagged up all of the time. So being able to move to something that's lighter, or even these are even lighter still, gives me the ability to fish light flies in slow flows and not spend all my time freeing from snags. So let's keep going. So I'm trying to pick a fly here that's a little bit more lightly weighted. So there we go, tie into a nice fish. This one's a fairly decent fish, and as you can see, it's taken some line out. And it was the ability to drop down in weight on the fly and still making an effective cast. So that was fun. and I tag a couple more small ones in this run. So the thing is, the 2-weight does things the 4-weight cannot do. The 4-weight's predicated on having some weight to work with. You're fishing a 2-fly rig with a point fly that has some weight to it, not a problem. It's going to work like a charm. You get down to a slow pool where you want to reduce your weight of your nymph so that you have more time in the run and you're not going straight down into the rocks. Then something like a 4-weight starts to struggle. Yes, you can do it. It will work, but it's not as easy and it's not as much fun. And that's what I found with the 2-weight. It handled those light flies beautifully. I mean, you could lay it straight out, no trouble whatsoever. Get a 15 to 20 foot cast out of it, shooting just the leader. And, and that sucker is the proof of the pudding. I mean, yeah, it's a sucker, but it proved that you could get a fly down in a slow pool, cast it out to a fish, target a fish, cast it out, make the hook up with a lightly weighted fly. So if your local river has got a lot of these slow, deep pools where you can't throw a lot of weight into them, think about this IMX Pro 2-weight. It'll do the job. It was a pleasure to fish. I just loved it. It was, it's sitting in my garage right now, fully rigged, waiting to go. So, I don't even bother taking it down. I drive it fully rigged because, it's just a joy to use, and I just like it the way it is. So anyway, if your river is like that and you don't have these fast tumbling flows where you're casting a lot of weight, keep that IMX Pro 2-weight in mind. Cheers.
Fish. Good one.